Swati, which city are you based out of?
I'm in Mumbai.
All right. Lavina, can you share your screen till then?
Yeah, sure. Can you let me know if you can see it?
Yes, we can see it.
Yes, yes.
You get Hi,
Okay.
Yogita. How are you?
Hey,
Hey.
hi. Sorry for joining late.
No problem.
I'm all
Hi,
good. How are you
Yogita.
guys?
Hi, Reshma.
Hi.
All right. So great. I think we have at least six, maybe seven participants on the call. Two, three are now joining. So I think in interest of everyone's time, we'll probably start. So welcome everyone to the Annapurna Base Camp orientation call and to possibly one of the biggest adventures you're going to undertake in 2026, unless you have another major adventure planned in this year. This is going to be a big one. So, I would just start with a quick introduction. My name is Sauraj. Uh, I work with this company called Adventure Pulse. I'm joined with my colleague Lavina on the call, and we also have another colleague called Umang on the call. Um, what we're going to do is, we're going to just share some more information with you about the Annapurna Base Camp trek, most of which you already may know. But the idea of this call, of course, also is to make sure that we do a good Q&A round because some of you are trekking for the first time. And, we would definitely want, if you have any questions or doubts, we will be happy to answer. So, right now, as some of you may have seen, we have, I think, six ladies who've joined the call. So the ratio is skewed in this particular trek. I think we have six female participants and just about two or three male participants. So this group size is going to be about 9 to 10 trekkers, but more skewed towards the female participants. I don't know how much of research have you done about the Annapurna Base Camp trek, but it definitely is one of the most beautiful treks that you can do in Nepal. The highest altitude you reach is about 4,200 meters, and your start point and your end point is Pokhara. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take the next 5 minutes or so to just take you through this information. I'm sorry, but it may just come across as a little bit of a monologue, but try and absorb as much as you can. And then of course we will open it up for questions. So, this map that you see on the screen, that's very interesting. We're just going to take you through this map because, it does mark the altitude at some of the places. So if you can see this place called Punhil, and then just a little below that, you can see this place called Ghorepani. Ghorepani towards the left-hand side of the screen. Ghorepani is about 2,860 meters. So the route that we're really going to follow is, the first night we will spend is at Ghorepani, and then the next night that we will spend is at Tadapani, which is 2,630 meters. And then if you come right in the middle of the screen, lower side of the screen, there's a place called Chumrung, which is 2,170 meters. So it's very interesting as to how this trek is panned out because it does follow that very classic principle of trekking and climbing, which says that you climb high and you sleep low. So the first 2 nights you're spending at about 2,800 and 2,600 meters, which is not very high altitude. It's very comfortable altitude. And then you're actually dipping down to Chumrung to give your body some rest. And then the next 2 days, you're climbing to Dovan and to Devrali, and then eventually to Annapurna base camp at about 4,200. So, when it comes to altitude, we have rarely seen that somebody may get sick or get symptoms of acute mountain sickness because it's a very well panned out trek when it comes to the altitude gain. Unlike, let's say, some of the other treks, for example, if you're climbing Kilimanjaro, you're actually gaining about 800 to 1000 meters every day continuously for 4 days, right? So that can be very, very extreme. But as compared to something like that, or as compared to even Everest Base Camp, Annapurna Base Camp is a little more gentle in terms of altitude. We'll just take you through how the days are going to look like in terms of the itinerary. So, of course, your first day will be in Kathmandu. Kathmandu is the trekking capital of the world. This is where you would like meet the team. We'll hold a proper team briefing. You'll meet the staff, you'll meet the guides, and then next day in the morning, you will move to Pokhara. So you'll fly into Pokhara. Now, day two is a little bit of a long day. This is going to be a 12-hour day at least, which is going to be a mix of a flight, a road journey, and a trek as well, right? So we leave Kathmandu early in the morning by 6:30. We hopefully get a flight at 8 o'clock to Pokhara. We land in Pokhara and then we start driving to the start point. The drive is about 3.5 hours. And we also trek that day for about 3.5 hours, of course, with a lot of breaks. So by the time you finish your day, it's going to be about 6:30 in the evening, and you will be spending the night at Ghorepani, right? The next day, of course, you have options of going up to Punhil. Now, what is Punhil? Punhil basically is a 1 hour climb from this place called Ghorepani, and it is famous for some really good views of the Annapurna region. But also there are other places where you can get these views. So your hike to Punhil on the morning of day three is kind of optional. The reason also it is optional is that if you go for this hike, it does become another hectic day because you have to go for the hike, come back to Gorepani, finish your breakfast, and then also walk to Tadapani that day, right? So we'll see how everybody's feeling, how the weather is, because you only climb Punhil for great weather, sorry, for great views, and you will only get that if there's great weather. If the weather is not the best and if there's no visibility, there's no point really going to Punhil. And in the mountains, it's always a 50-50. So 50% of the days you'll have great weather, 50% of the days you need to prepare yourselves to embrace bad weather. The way it's going to work is that if you're trekking for, let's say, 8 days, 4 days of great views, 4 days, you have to be prepared that, you may not be able to see the mountains as much. So day four onwards, we continue our hike slowly. We descend down to Chumrung. Chumrung is a very beautiful town. We spend a night there. There's some really nice baristas, coffee shops, the works. So you can actually walk into a really nice bakery, order a cappuccino, enjoy the views. So very comfortable village to spend a night. And then from Chumrung, you push the last 2 days where you start gaining some serious altitude. You cross the 3,000-meter mark, you go to Dovan, and then, of course, the final day, you go to Devrali, you spend the night, and then you eventually reach the Annapurna base camp. So essentially, that's how your itineraries kind of panned out. You do spend the night at the Annapurna base camp because that's where you get almost a 360-degree view of the mountains. And I've been there, and trust me, it is stunning. One of the best views of the mountains that you can see is from Annapurna base camp, and in whatever direction you look, it's almost as if being you're in a stadium and you're just surrounded by mountains. So it is very, very pretty. So that's how the itinerary would pan out. And then, of course, you kind of start your journey back the same way. You take 2 days to come down till Chumrung, and then, you hit the roadhead at this place called Jhinudada, and then you drive back to Pokhara. I'm sure some of you may have heard about Pokhara as well. It's this very beautiful mountainside, lakeside kind of a quaint hill station, I would say. So it's really good to spend an evening in Pokhara along the lakeside, explore some restaurants and nightlife at Pokhara, which is quite good. So that's how the itinerary works. What I'm going to do is I'm going to talk a little about the preparation as well, because your preparation and your fitness levels on the trek are really going to decide whether the trek becomes a punishment for you or it becomes a really enjoyable experience for you. We exactly have now, I think, about 45 days more or less to go for this trek. And I would say this 45 days become extremely critical as to how you can prepare for this trek. I'm sure most of you have already kind of started some or the other preparation for this trek. But what is it that we need you to do now for these 45 days becomes critical. We need you to focus a lot more on your cardiovascular exercises and building endurance. And of course, some strength as well, but primarily for your lower body. Of course, strength overall is very important, but in Annapurna Base Camp, the reason I say that is that Annapurna Base Camp trek is very notorious to have these steps or stairs that you have to climb. So, for about 2 days going up and 2 days coming down, 50 to 60% of your trek is only on stairs. And believe me when I say this, it can get very monotonous and painful, climbing stairs, because if you're walking on a natural mud trail, it's way better than climbing staircases. And a lot of these staircases are very uneven as well. So there could be bigger steps, smaller steps. It's a mix. Traditionally, these stairs have been made because they wanted to connect the villages. Annapurna Base Camp during monsoon, this entire region is very, like it gets very heavy monsoon, and in the process, it's very landslide prone. So they wanted to make sure that the villages are not cut off because of the landslides. The kids can go to school, people have access to hospitals. So, of course, they built these stairs to connect the villages. But of course, as trekkers, we end up taking the same route and we end up on the same stairs as well. So, three, four things that we would like you to concentrate on would be if you walk on a treadmill, then of course, walk on a treadmill on an incline. A flat treadmill is not going to help you. We often say this if you're going for a small, leisurely 45-minute walk around your apartment complex, that is not really going to cut it for a trek like Annapurna Base Camp, because that is okay to maintain general fitness, but it's not helping you to build endurance. So the single best exercise that we recommend is climbing staircase. Now, whether you're doing it in your apartment complex, twice or thrice a week, or you're doing, you're going for a trek and you're doing a major stair push. As someone said on the call that they climbed about 800 stairs over a weekend on a trek. That is also great. But please dedicate time climbing stairs. You don't need to climb down as much. You can just go up, take the lift down, go up, take the lift down. So if you stay in a building which is, let's say, 10 floors, at least start with, let's say, doing 3 floors. The subsequent week, push it to 4 floors, then 5 floors. So, by the time you are in mid-March, you would reach a situation where you're doing like 60 to 70 floors at least thrice a week. It's very important to kind of activate those muscles, those calf muscles, those quadriceps while you're climbing those stairs. And we would definitely recommend that in March, the last 2 weeks between 1st and 15th, try and do that even with a small backpack of 3 to 4 kgs, because your day pack is something that you will be carrying. But starting now till 20th of March, try and dedicate at least 4 or 5 days to some other fitness. Could be strengthening of legs, could be cardio, could be an upper body strengthening, whatever you're doing. But the idea is to have some discipline. The idea is to just engage in some or the other outdoor activity 5 days a week, so that your body is getting used to uh, that push and that physical exercise. So when it comes to logistics, of course our team is going to be in touch with you and we will make sure that we make your trek as comfortable as possible. But when it comes to fitness, we really need all of you to kind of put in your 100% in the next 40-45 days. The way the accommodation works on any of the treks in Nepal is essentially we call them tea houses or lodges. Now, for most part of it, they're very, very basic. So I would actually urge you to concentrate more on the picture on the right. The rooms on the left, you have them at one or two places which are relatively nicer rooms, as you can see, with a little bit of a carpet and all that. But that's only at one place. The room that you can see on the right is the kind of rooms you really have. Nothing, just a basic cot or a bed. No tables as well. You just keep your duffel bags on the ground. And all of them work as dormitories or hostels. So, you have only common washrooms. There is no concept of rooms with attached washrooms as such. So you typically have about 6 to 8 rooms on each floor. And towards the end of the floor, you will have about two or three common washrooms. So, when you're packing your toiletries, make sure you're carrying an extra sanitizer, wet wipes, tissue paper rolls, and the works. So, you will need all these things. Uh, the first 3 days of the accommodation, which is Ghore Pani, Tata Pani, and Chumrung. These three places, our team is going to, as much as possible, try and get you rooms on double or triple sharing basis. But post that, the last 2 days, which is essentially uh, Devrali and Annapurna base camp, at these places, the accommodation is very limited. So what happens is that rooms on double or triple sharing is not a concept. The concept is only cot basis, or you just get a bed. So you will typically have a bigger room or a dormitory, which will have anywhere from 4 to 6 beds. And you will have to be sharing that accommodation with your fellow trekkers. Of course, the male and the female members will have separate dorms, but there is no concept of a double sharing room, because the number of trekkers and the number of rooms available is very limited. So they're trying to kind of maximize to make sure that everyone gets at least a roof and a bed to sleep, rather than people having rooms on double sharing. So that is something that you kind of need to keep in mind, that you will have to rough it out the last 2 nights. What do you need to pack? We will, of course, share this list with you, but I'm just going to quickly go over this list as well before we open it up for questions. These are layers that we highly recommend that all of you should carry, and especially the top row, all of you need to have at least one pair of thermal, lower and upper. It's interesting that you may not be wearing thermals while walking, because thermals, the idea of thermals is that they trap heat. So it's kind of non-breathable, but you will need your thermals in the evenings after you finish the trek to kind of change into your thermals and make sure that you keep yourself nice and warm. But while walking, you won't need them. So they won't get as sweaty. So one pair of thermals is good enough. Of course, combination of full sleeves and half sleeve t-shirts, but a fleece jacket, a down jacket, and a waterproof wind cheater. These are layers which are important, and we recommend that you carry them because depending on how the weather is, you will be wearing them. So it's not necessary that you will be wearing all three jackets, fleece, down, and a waterproof jacket at the same time. But if it's a windy day, you'll probably wear only your fleece and your windproof. When you finally reach the Annapurna base camp, you will have to layer up with your thermal, your fleece, and your down jacket as well. So different combinations will work. What we recommend is that if there's something that you're not getting in India, Kathmandu is a great place to shop. In fact, we recommend that you shop in Kathmandu and not in India. So if there's anything on your list which is pending and you need to pick it up, trust us, Kathmandu is really the place. The kind of variety and quality and pricing that you'll get there, you will feel like shopping. So don't worry if you've not got anything from the list that we'll share with you, and you can just pick it up from Nepal as well. All right. So these are some of the basic details we wanted to cover. We wanted to go over with you. What we're going to do is we're just going to open it up for a Q&A session. I'm sure some of you have questions. So please go ahead and ask, and we will be happy to answer.
Suraj, hi, quick one on reaching Kathmandu because we start on 22nd. So 21st, do we have to reach there? And what flight would you suggest, in terms of landing time?
So Swati, when we say 22nd, we mean that you need to reach Kathmandu on 22nd only.
Okay.
And because what happens is we spend a night in Kathmandu and then we fly to Pokhara the next day in the morning on the 23rd. So on the 22nd, any flight which ideally gets into Kathmandu by 2 p.m. or 3 p.m. is good enough, preferably not later than that. So honestly, the earlier the better. If you can get in by even in the first half, it's good
Hmm.
because it kind of gives you the day to, to shop around, to organize your gear, to meet the team, to attend the team. The team briefing only happens at 6:30 in the evening.
On
So anytime
22nd.
in the first half is recommended.
So perfect. So 22nd first half reaching Kathmandu would be best. And on the
That's
return
correct.
flight, what would you suggest? Like what date and time should we select?
Lavina, what day will be the return flight?
The
Would you
2nd
know?
of April. 1st April, we come back from Pokhara to
Hmm.
Kathmandu. And 2nd April, you fly out.
Okay,
So
perfect.
any time of the day on the second Swati is fine. So on 2nd April, it could be 9 in the morning, it could be 4 in the afternoon, it doesn't matter. Any time of the day because you will be spending the night in Kathmandu the previous day on the 1st of April.
Understood. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Hey, hi, Suraj. Can I go next? I have two, three
Yes,
questions.
yes, please.
Well, first question is regarding the drone. Is there any permission required if you have to fly a drone in the area?
Yogita, yes, Nepal is for some reason Nepal is extremely strict when it comes to drone.
Hmm.
We require like a range of permissions in terms of environment, defense, a lot of things.
Hmm.
So if you're planning to carry a drone, it is almost impossible to get it into the country. So it's one of those countries which has, made rules very, very strict around the drone. So if you really want one, it's a completely different conversation in terms of the permissions, the paperwork, and the costs. So if you want, we can send that to you, but trust me, it's not worth it. Like you'll probably end up spending upwards of $500 to $1,000 just to get permissions. So
Okay.
unfortunately, it is such a beautiful country, but they've kind of made what they've done is they've actually made filming and production into a really big revenue stream. So they don't really allow even regular trekkers to carry any heavy duty camera equipment.
Then what about the APS-C cameras? Those are also not allowed. The
Uh, so,
upgraded version of DSLR.
can you send me a photo of that? I'll check with my manager in Nepal, but a DSLR is fine. When you say an upgraded, you mean like for the longer
It's a
lens, for
small
what version?
camera, but it's
Mhm.
just the upgraded version of DSLR. Like it's a mirrorless
Yeah, I think
camera.
that should be fine. Anything which is handheld as a camera, looks like a camera is fine. A drone
Okay.
is not. Yeah.
Okay. Second question is, how about the charging? Like, how scarcity of the electricity is there? Like, how much? I mean, in terms of carrying power banks, I'm thinking, like,
No, that's a
where
good
all the.
question. So what happens is that all the lodges will have charging facility, but the charging facility is paid. Because they have scarcity of electricity and they only primarily rely on solar for most part of it, they
Mm,
typically will charge you, let's say, 100 Nepali rupees for 1 hour, for example, to charge your
o-
phone or to charge your power bank. So if it's a heavy duty equipment or a heavy duty camera, the pricing will probably be like 200 rupees an hour. But if
mm,
you can, so we recommend everybody to carry at least one power bank. If you can
mm,
carry two power banks, it's even better.
mm,
And then at least with two power banks, you'll have to probably charge them only once or twice throughout your trek, and your
mm.
phones can continuously work. But that's how charging works. But also the last 2 days, which is Devrali and Annapurna base camp, the voltage and the supply is very less. So it's okay to kind of just charge your phones. But if you
Mm.
have to charge your a heavy duty camera, it's going to be a little difficult the last 2 days. So maybe you can charge it in Chumrung properly, and then hopefully it'll work till the time you reach Annapurna base camp as such. But for normal phones and for normal power banks, charging is not a problem.
Got it. Another question I have is we will have a porters to carry our bags, right? Huh. So, do
Yes.
we have to think of having it, porter-friendly bags, or will there be some bags we are going to put our luggage into and those will be carried? How is it?
No, that's a really good question. So, yes, thank you for bringing it up. We do recommend a porter-friendly bag, and for everyone else on the call, what we mean by that is that we recommend that you carry any bag which doesn't have wheels and doesn't have a hard base. Because what the porters do it, they wrap up the bags and they carry it on their head or on their shoulders like this. So if there are wheels or there's something hard, it can hit them. So of course, suitcases won't work. Even something with a hard material won't work. So the two things that typically work are either a duffel bag, a soft duffel bag, or a regular big size rucksack.
Mm.
These are the two that we recommend. What we can do is after the call, we'll share a photo with you. We have Adventure Pulse duffel bags as well. If you like, you can rent that or purchase that. Or if you have your own duffel bag or your own rucksack, then of course you can carry that as well.
Okay. Oh, I have last question. It's about the network because I'm gonna leave my 2-year-old son back. How, if I mean, where all I will not have network, I have to inform my family.
So, Yogita, you will have network everywhere, every day, but you will
Mm.
not have network on the trail. So let's say
Mm.
you leave, you have breakfast and you start trekking by 8:30 in the morning and you only reach the tea house by evening 4:30 that day, for example. 8:30 to 4:30, you will have limited network. Matlab beach mein,
Mhm.
you may have it, you may not have it. But once you reach a lodge or a tea house, what happens is you get Wi-Fi access which
Mm.
you can directly buy from the reception. Like you can go to the reception, they charge, let's say, about 300 Nepali rupees or 400 Nepali rupees for Wi-Fi for the entire cycle of 24 hours. So
Mm.
you will actually be connected every day in the
Mm.
mornings and in the evenings. During the day, for those 7-8 hours in between, you may not be connected. But on Annapurna Base Camp, there is no day where you completely cut off. So you will actually be able to reach your family every day in start of the day and end of the day.
Okay, yeah, that's about it. I other because my journey is going to start little early. Other questions I will, I think, coordinate with Lavina and we can take it ahead.
No problems. We look
Yeah,
forward. Thank you for those questions.
thank you.
All right. Another thing which is usually a question which comes up quite often is that, can we leave some stuff behind? So yes, you can in both the places. So what happens is when you come to Kathmandu, we will spend the night in Kathmandu, and if you have clothes which you're wearing in terms of your travel clothes or sneakers or denims that you will not need on the trek, you can leave them behind safely in the hotel in Kathmandu. That's an option. And if you have an extended stay in Pokhara, for example, and you're flying into Pokhara the next day in the morning, also, when we leave from the airport, we can make a quick pit stop in the hotel where you'll be staying after the trek, and you can even leave a bag there. So, options of leaving stuff behind either in Kathmandu or in Pokhara before the trek is there. The reason we say that is that there is a limit to what the porters carry on the trek, which is 10 kgs per trekker. So there's one porter who's assigned for every two people. So one porter will carry up to 20 kgs. So if there's anything extra that you're carrying upwards of 10 kgs, we rather, we recommend that you just leave it behind in Kathmandu or in Pokhara. All right, great. So on that note, any more questions, we will be happy to answer.
This is going to be my first base camp or even a long trek that I've opted for. Thanks to Yogita, of course. And even I cleared a lot of questions with Lavina. But I have to buy a lot of stuff, because I've never done a trek like this before. I think I've done a couple of the steps trek at Bhutan and even at Bali, but they've been very short. I think an hour or so. But a base camp like this is going to be my first, and even the entire experience of a trek, I think it's going to be one of my first. But I'm excited, and I'm preparing for it. So would love that the whole group, bear with me if I have to take those little stops or whatever that is. And yes, I'm a little nervous, so therefore I'm kind of putting my disclaimer right from the beginning.
Sorry
Uh,
to interrupt, but to everybody who's listening to Reshma for the first time, see, she herself is a fitness coach. So I don't think that benefit is going to not
No, no,
help you
fitness.
anyway.
No, no, I agree. So I do follow, a good fitness regime. But having said that, keeping that in mind, specificity is one of the things. And climbing as an endurance activity, I have not taken up to it. So yes, it's going to be a first. But yes, I'm excited, and I look at this as a start. The question I had was that since I'm going to be buying a lot of things now for this trek, I need help with some links like shoes, or you said the rucksack and things like that. So if I can get some idea of how to do the shopping for this trek and be ready for it, or if I need, like, it's going to be, we're going to be having cots to sleep on, but would I need to still carry a sleeping bag? Those are the kind of questions I had. So
Rishma, yeah, first of all, thank you for sharing how you're feeling and, being honest about it. We really appreciate it. Trust me, you're going to have the most amount of fun because, this is going to be a new experience for you. I think for most people on this call, they are actually undertaking a longer format trek for the first time. So, you'll have a lot of company there. And of course, Annapurna Base Camp is a really good trek to start with. We highly recommend it. We take a lot of school groups and school children to the Annapurna Base Camp because it's a great first in terms of a high altitude trek. Also, on a
yes,
lighter note, I think now we know who we can approach for some good stretching in the evening after a long day of trek because we have a fitness
great.
coach trekking with us. So yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. And don't worry, the idea is that all of us trek together. The guides, the staff will support you every single step. So nothing to worry.
Hmm.
Links with you, and thank you for bringing that up because shoes is something which is very important, and shoes is something that we highly recommend to everyone. If you already have shoes, it is great. If you don't have shoes, please buy your shoes or pick it up in the next maximum 2 to 3 weeks in February, so that you spend the entire the first 3 weeks of March breaking into them. You need at least 2 to 3 weeks to break into your shoes. So we will share the link of what kind of shoes you need to buy. We will also share links of the kind of jackets you can buy. Uh, as I said, we would recommend that if you've not got a lot of stuff, save some stuff to be bought from Kathmandu, from Nepal, because you will get very good stuff, trekking gear in Kathmandu. In India, for most part of it, your options are only Decathlon or Colombia, and Colombia is also not that accessible. It's only present in a few cities. So Decathlon is where you will shop from, and we highly recommend that you shop from Kathmandu. Uh, Even though you will be getting blankets at all the lodges and all the tea houses, you still do need a sleeping bag. But since it's your first trek, you don't really need to buy one. You can rent a sleeping bag. And we have rentals of sleeping bags in Kathmandu, and they are about 100 rupees a day. So you can just rent from one from us and give it back to us.
Perfect.
So, but we'll share all this with you. We'll put it on the group again. But also on that note, I just wanted to just tell everyone that this call may now just end in about 20 seconds. So, if you have more questions and you want to continue on this call for 5 minutes, can I just request you to just disconnect and log on to the same link so that we can continue. If that's okay with everyone, Lavina, can you disconnect the call and